謝神，這禮物化作活泉的心靈。幸福是接受和活出這禮物的真諦，教我學習愛到痛時就如遇見主。人一生最如趕，豔陽縱使多耀眼，如若沒愛，彷彿天空阻隔了光線的障幔。請潔淨我心眼，長留着愛的恩泉，清澈璀璨。
佢嘅夢想曾經同好多人一樣，要努力致富，享受物質生活，要佢過獨身嘅生活，捨棄安逸，一心一意跟隨天主，簡直係匪夷所思。
He said, "Have you ever thought about giving your life to God?" And I kind of thought, "No, are you crazy? I want to get married. I want to live a life that these guys have, right? I've attained what many people would dream of. I was making 6 digits in terms of my figure. I had a house in Markham, Unionville. And I had the sports car that most people would dream of."
佢漸漸發覺，再多嘅金錢，再豐裕嘅物質生活，都彌補唔到佢內心嘅空虛。
Where I felt God's love for the first time in my life. And that was a love that I had been seeking in many ways.
佢更加諗唔到會有咁樣嘅一日。
And I spoke to my mother and I said, "Mom, I have something to tell you." And I sat her across the kitchen table. And she looked at me and she said, "My son wants to be a priest."
Thomas Lim 林武國喺1973年同父母同埋7個兄弟姊妹從印尼移民到多倫多，定居喺 Regent Park， 一個貧困、環境複雜、罪案頻密嘅地區。Thomas 嘅父母為咗令仔女能夠接受到適當嘅教育，就送佢哋到附近一所著名嘅私立天主教學校 De La Salle College 就讀。喺嗰度，Thomas 認識咗好多嚟自富裕家庭嘅小朋友，令佢對貧富懸殊嘅現實感到極不公平。
I was exposed to a difference of lifestyle. Many of the students that I attended school with, they were from wealthy backgrounds. Individuals, you can see the cars that they drove, the various technologies, the toys that they had. So I realized that, here were a bunch of students who were well off, and myself and my family weren't quite that well off.
Thomas 眼見富裕家庭中嘅小朋友擁有咁多，佢開始對金錢產生渴求。佢以為金錢可以將貧富懸殊嘅距離拉近。
From a very young age, I didn't think it was fair. And perhaps in my own mind, probably grade 9 or grade 10, I kind of made the decision that I was going to bridge that difference. I kind of had a plan, I think, from a very young age where I was going to make a difference in my own life and try to acquire the many things that these individuals had. I was formulating a plan in terms of what I would do in order to acquire the wealth, acquire the comfort, acquire the many material possessions. And I thought that plan would involve trying to make as much money as possible.
當 Thomas 以追求金錢、物質成為佢生活目標嘅時候，信仰對佢已經唔重要，佢逐漸放棄天主教徒嘅生活。
I strayed away from the church. I strayed away from the church from probably when I was grade 9, grade 10, in my early teenage years till about 27, 28. So a good 12 years or so, give or take. And during that time, my focus was just trying to live the gospel of the world. The gospel that says that live your life to its fullest, indulge yourself in sex, drugs, alcohol, material possessions, focus on your career and live this present life. And so that became my primary goal. That became my primary drive and the primary focus in my life. And as a result, the faith became a secondary thing. It was something that I didn't practice.
Thomas 迷失於物質世界當中，佢放棄咗信仰， 亦都輕視天主俾佢嘅第一個召叫。喺佢高中嘅時候，天主藉住一位修士 Brother Benedict 第一次召叫佢去做神父。
He said, Thomas, have you ever thought about it? And I said, thought about what? He said, have you ever thought about giving your life to God? And I kind of thought, no, are you crazy? I want to get married. I want to live a life that these guys have, right? And when I was younger, I used to laugh actually at men who would think about the priesthood. I would often say, what idiots, or what guy would be willing to give his life up to the priesthood? Because it never made sense to me that someone would be willing to give up their life for ministry.
Thomas 並冇回應天主第一次召叫而重拾信仰生活，佢只係積極咁樣繼續向生活目標努力，尋找更多揾錢嘅途徑，積聚財富。憑住佢嘅才智同埋努力，佢好快就成為一位出色嘅投資顧問。期間佢認識咗 Joe Pavao。由於 Joe 同埋 Thomas 嘅性格相似，佢哋成為咗好好嘅朋友，亦都係公事上嘅好拍檔。Joe 非常欣賞 Thomas 嘅才幹，佢認為以 Thomas 嘅才能、知識同埋性格喺事業上一定可以再創高峰。
He was well versed in the marketplace. He understood how things worked. He connected well with clients. And in this business, 90% of it is dealing well with your clients, because at the end of the day, clients are, they're entrusting you with their livelihoods. And Thomas has exemplified himself very well. I think he's done extremely well in his professional career before joining the priesthood. In my opinion, I think Tom could have gone definitely a lot further if he wanted to professionally.
Thomas 年少時嘅夢想已經實現咗啦，但係 Thomas 開始體驗到豐富嘅物質生活，亦未能夠讓佢找到生命嘅意義。
I've attained what many people would dream of. My position was as an assistant vice president of a brokerage firm. I was making 6 digits in terms of my figure. I had a house in Markham, Unionville. And I had the sports car that most people would dream of. Yet, even in spite of all those material possessions, in spite of everything that the world says would make you happy, I still realized that there was still an emptiness on my part.
Thomas 繼續去尋找生命嘅意義，因為佢雖然擁有好多，但係仍然感到生活空虛。天主無限嘅愛終於觸動咗 Thomas 嘅心。喺一個偶然嘅機會下，佢聽到天主愛嘅呼喚。
I was dating a Catholic girl, and she had brought me back to the faith. She was going to church regularly, and so I decided to go with her, just as a faithful and devoted boyfriend, so to speak. But I wasn't really practicing my faith in any stretch of the imagination. But our relationship ended, and I continued to go to church. I continued to attend. I don't know why, what drove me, perhaps grace, but it was one of those moments where at the back of the church, I remember standing there, and Father Michael Bush, who was the pastor of St. Justin Martyr at that time, that's my home parish, he had delivered a sermon, and that sermon really spoke to my heart. That sermon was one where it was really an invitation from God to come back. In so many words, God was saying to me, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, it's okay. Come back, I'm waiting for you, and embrace my love. And so I found myself a few days later just calling Father Michael and asking him whether I can speak to him.
Thomas 嘗試重新認識天主教信仰，佢向 Father Bush 求助。當 Father Bush 首次同 Thomas 見面嘅時候，已經發覺 Thomas 嘅內心並唔平安，所以決定要幫助佢。
When he came into my office the first time I saw him, he was very angry, kind of mad, frustrated, had a lot of questions, didn't make a lot of sense at first as to what he was there for. But I saw something else in there. This is a person who was looking for something, just in what he was talking about, kind of being jumbled, being all over the place, a little angry, a little frustrated. And I knew that we needed to spend a little bit more time than just that first 5 minutes that I gave him. So we set up a series of appointments after that.
憑住 Father Bush 嘅經驗，喺最初2、3次同 Thomas 會面嘅傾談之中，已經察覺到天主喺 Thomas 身上係有特定嘅計劃。
Normally when somebody comes to you and says they haven't been to church for a while, they're looking for confession, looking for a quick way to get back to Mass so that they can just sort of continue to worship on a weekly basis. With Thomas, it was a lot more than that. His idea of coming back to the church was wrapped up with a whole lot of family ideals, a whole lot of images that in his own mind of what the church was. So this wasn't just give me confession so I can go back to communion and start worshiping again. He was looking at his whole life through this return to the church. So when you hear that coming from somebody, you realize God's got something else in mind for this person. And so hearing that from Thomas, I realized God's touching him in a way that's moving him somewhere. And we have to figure out where that somewhere is.
喺 Thomas 同 Father Bush 會面嘅數年時間 ，Thomas 喺事業上面繼續有進展。Thomas 賺得咗世間嘅財富，喺物質上似乎並冇缺少啲乜嘢，但係佢嘅生活並唔開心。Father Bush 接受聖召嘅過程同 Thomas 好相似，佢希望能夠用自己嘅經驗去幫助 Thomas。
When I first met with Thomas, there are always similarities between my own vocational background and his. When I was being called to priesthood, I was working in business as well. So when I saw what he was going through in his workplace and how difficult it was to express himself as a Christian there, that sort of brought a rapport to the two of us. We kind of hit it off from that point on. First thing we do is we get all the things. We get a great job, we get a car, we get a house, we have great girlfriends, everything. We've got everything that society says you're supposed to have to be successful. Now, if that is your calling, you will be satisfied. You'll find your happiness there, your energy and your strength there. But if you've got all of that and there's still an emptiness, still some purpose that's missing, then I think God is calling you to look at something else, something with a little bit more meaning to it.
天主係慈愛嘅，佢並唔會因為人嘅過犯而放棄佢哋。佢派咗好多人守護喺 Thomas 身邊，默默為佢祈禱，希望 Thomas 終會有重拾信仰嘅一日。
The one that was really special is my mother. When I told her many years, actually a year before I was actually entering the seminary, that I wanted to become a priest, she had told me that for 12 years she had prayed for me daily to come back to the church. Her prayer was not so much that she wanted her son to become a priest, but really she wanted God to give me the grace to come back and find the faith. You know, there's that beautiful story in the New Testament, the prodigal son. And in many ways, I can relate to that story very well because I feel like I was the prodigal son, where I left the father's house, so to speak, and lived a life of dissolute living, you know, not practicing the faith and so on. But it was only at a certain point when you hit rock bottom where the young son began to realize that, what am I doing? And he was given the grace to be able to convert, to change his ways. And at that moment, he would come back and realize that I'm so far away from my father's house, I'm going to head home.
喺2002年嘅4旬期 ，Thomas 做咗一個決定，呢一個決定令佢喺信仰上面跨越咗一大步。佢從此愛上咗基督聖體。
The Catholic Church during the Lent period has, I guess, penitential practices where we offer up something. But for myself, for 40 days, I promised our Lord, I promised God that I would come to church every day. Our faith tells us that when we celebrate the Mass, what is simply a piece of bread and what we see as wine, through the powers of the priests, becomes transformed to the person of Jesus Christ, sacramentally, the body and blood of Christ. So every day before work or after work, I went to church. I attended Mass, and after the 40th day, I couldn't stop. What I encountered in a real and a concrete way was a personal intimacy, where I felt God's love for the first time in my life. And that was a love that I had been seeking in many ways, trying to fulfill it with money, with career, with all the things that the world said. I found a good that was so real, that was so that I longed for so much, that it paled in comparison to everything else that the world promised.
雖然 Thomas 為咗愛天主而放棄一切，但係佢仍然需要經過一段頗長嘅時間，透過幾位有經驗嘅神師去引導，去確定天主嘅召叫。
The Archdiocese of Toronto has what's called a Come and See weekend, where men from all walks of life, from 18 years or older, are invited for one weekend in the fall semester and one weekend in the spring semester to come and live a weekend life with the seminarians. And so I went. But that weekend was a defining moment for me, because after that weekend I realized that there was more. God was calling me to something more. And eventually from that Come and See weekend, I made the decision to embrace the call to the priesthood.
Thomas 立定決心，佢將進入修院嘅決定話俾佢嘅媽媽聽。
And I spoke to my mother and I said, Mom, I have something to tell you. And I sat her across the kitchen table, and she looked at me and she said, my son wants to be a priest. And I was kind of shocked, because I hadn't told anyone that this was what I was planning to do. Yet my mother had a motherly instinct, so to speak, where she could see the changes that took place in me, where my journey back was obviously causing her to recognize that the son that I had before was now different than the one that's sitting right across me. And she was able to even anticipate me telling her to the priesthood that I was going to enter the priesthood. And she ended up becoming my number one supporter.
Thomas 由當初只顧追逐名利，到逐漸重拾信仰，認清天主對佢嘅召叫，走過呢段漫長嘅路。天主喺 Thomas 踏入修院嘅一刻，俾咗佢一個小小嘅回報。
On my first day when I actually entered the seminary and I was going up to my room, I remember telling a fellow seminarian, I really feel like I'm at home. So after all the years of searching, after all the years of trying to find peace and meaning in my life, that first day in the seminary, myself anyways, I felt that this is where I should be.
Thomas 喺修院7年，喺2009年5月9日正式晉鐸。以往對獻身事主甚為抗拒嘅 Thomas， 正式成為 Father Thomas Lim 林武國神父。佢除咗感謝天主賜俾佢嘅一切之外，更加多謝家人對佢嘅支持，特別係嗰位對佢不離不棄，每日為佢回頭改過而祈禱嘅母親。佢仲記得母親喺得知佢選擇跟隨天主嗰一刻喜極而泣。佢對主嘅信賴更加令林武國神父刻骨銘心。林神父嘅遺憾就係母親喺2009年初因為癌病而去世，未能夠親身見證佢晉鐸成為神父嘅一刻。佢嘅姐姐 Wendy 同埋其他兄弟姊妹代表住父母帶俾佢祝福。
Father Thomas' ordination was very, very special. We have been journeying with him for many years, and one of the things that he shared to his parents, to our mom and dad, that he wants his formation to become a journey with the family. So we have journeyed with him, step by step. So it was very, very joyful moment. At the same time, we felt that, we wish that our parents there as well to witness the occasion. So that is also, there's a little, on my part, a small emotional moment that I wish that mom was there, dad was there.
林神父同佢嘅家人非常尊敬母親，更加向佢學習對主嘅信賴。佢嗰份無私嘅愛，將自己嘅痛苦奉獻俾天主，去為別人嘅需要而祈禱，令到佢哋好感動。
Our late mother was suddenly ill. It was a real shocking for our family, to learn that she has a terminal illness because she was at the last stage of her illness. So she went through excruciating pain almost on a daily basis. So when the pain comes, we would say to mother, okay, now mom, who do you want to offer the suffering to this time, right? So mom would say, okay, with Jesus' suffering, I'm going to offer this suffering this time, to the church, to our religious, to people in the seminary, or maybe for our relatives who left the church.
She suffered a lot. She suffered for 54 days before she died. But during that period of suffering, she continually offered her suffering for my future ministry. And I remember the last thing she said to me before she died. She said, no matter what happens in your priesthood, just hang on to the feet of Christ. And so I find my mom to be very inspirational in that sense, because even though she had no theology, here was her son studying to become a priest. Even though she had no theology, here she was giving me the simplest of all theology, which was putting your faith in Christ.
Wendy 亦都記得母親臨終前嘅教誨係要一家人團結互愛，佢哋兄弟姊妹之間嘅親情並唔會因為父母已經離世而減退，更加唔會因 Thomas 已經成為神父而同佢疏離。
To our mother, before she passed away, one of her message is for us as a family to always be united, and so even though my brother, as a priest, he has his own, he's busy with his ministry and so forth, but we always remember our mother message that we need to connect with one another, we need to support each other, and we need to share our life together.
林神父嘅好朋友兼公事上嘅好拍檔 Joe 睇住佢走過呢幾年，終於成為神父，亦都有一番感觸。Joe 同林神父對人生路向嘅取捨、生命意義嘅睇法雖然截然不同，但係佢哋會互相尊重大家嘅選擇。
I have a lovely wife and two great kids, and so now it's a matter of finding time between my career and my personal life. So success, again, has different meanings for different people. Obviously, I've been very driven in my career. That hasn't changed, but there's now a component of it that's more important, which is my family. And I love to spend as much time I can with them. But I also realize there's sacrifices that have to be made. So, what makes Joe Paveo, as I said, obviously a different degree than what makes Thomas Slim. He has a higher calling, and, the way Thomas described it to me was, for him, family was going to be the church and all those that, he attended to. What he's now become, he shed an old skin, he's now put on a new skin, and there's a satisfaction in his voice, a very profound man now that is committed to a higher calling. So what I do see is I still see the same Thomas Lim that I've known for 20 years. We still joke around. I'm still having a hard time calling him Father Lim, but for the most part, I think I'm proud to say that he's a friend of mine.
面對天主嘅召叫，年青人難免會感到害怕，但係只要肯踏出第一步，天主就會照顧其他嘅一切。就好似林神父，當佢接受天主嘅計劃之後，佢內心感到前所未有嘅平安。
I remember that from my own experience. Once you accept what God's plan is for you, no matter how long it takes, no matter what it is, you let go of all that frustration, all that anger departs, and you become somebody completely different. And then the person you see now is the Thomas Lim God created him to be. A very calm, very gentle, very loving person. If you had met the Thomas Lim I met at the beginning, you wouldn't have seen that person at all.
天主經常可以將人嘅弱點變成有效嘅工具，就好似林神父轉化嘅經歷，正好成為佢日後喺牧民工作上有力嘅見證。
The fact that I had lived a life of sin for so many years, separated from the church, it's also helped me in my own ministry to be very empathetic to many people who are going through the same struggles. It's not often where where I don't meet people who ask me the question, Father, I've lived a real sinful life. Can God possibly love me? And I point to my own situation and say, look, I've lived a life of sin for 12 years, and yet now here I am as a priest preaching the gospel, the good news. So if God is willing to use a broken instrument like myself, a sinful instrument who has undergone a conversion, that very love that I experience is also open to you. And the same is true with parents sometimes when they struggle and they see that their loved ones, their sons and daughters, have strayed away from the church for so many years. I sometimes share with them my own experience and say, just be faithful. Continue to pray. You don't know when God is going to touch the hearts of your son or daughter.
林神父曾經過住好多人夢寐以求嘅物質生活，但係因為聽到天主愛嘅呼喚，佢願意放棄一切。林神父就好似耶穌所講嘅比喻之中，嗰位尋找到完美珍珠嘅商人。當佢揾到嗰一粒寶貴嘅珍珠，就不惜賣晒佢所有嘅一切去買呢一粒珍珠。林神父欣然咁獻上自己未來嘅日子，去接受天主俾佢一切嘅安排。